Imagine there's a root sitting in your kitchen right now that ancient scholars once called medicinal gold. Hippocrates prescribed it. Avicenna documented it in his medical treatises. For over 5,000 years, entire civilizations built parts of their healthcare systems around this one root. And today, molecular science is finally proving they were right. We're talking about ginger, and what happens inside your body when you start eating it regularly is, frankly, extraordinary. Welcome to Infinite Lab, where science becomes something you can actually use today. If this is your first time here, stick around. This is exactly the kind of thing we do every week. Today we're dissecting, with real scientific precision, what happens to three fundamental systems in your body when ginger becomes part of your daily routine: your skin, your collagen, and your joints. Layer by layer, cell by cell. Let's start with skin. Your epidermis is a living, dynamic organ in constant renewal. Roughly every month, your body builds an entirely new layer of skin. And that regeneration process depends on factors most people never consciously think about. That's exactly where ginger steps in. Ginger contains over 400 identified bioactive compounds. The two most studied are gingerols and showgales, and they have a documented ability to neutralize free radicals, the unstable molecules that accelerate cellular aging, damage DNA, and break down the fibers that keep your skin firm and elastic. But here's something more specific and genuinely fascinating that researchers have found. Gingerols activate cell signaling pathways that boost your body's own production of antioxidant enzymes. Not antioxidants you're consuming from outside, antioxidants your own body manufactures. Superoxide dismutase and catalase, for example, are defensive proteins your body synthesizes, and ginger directly amplifies that internal production line. This isn't about adding external antioxidants. It's about switching on your body's own defense machinery. A study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found that ginger extracts, applied topically or consumed, significantly reduced markers of oxidative stress in skin tissue. Less oxidative stress means cells divide more efficiently, tissue repairs itself faster, and skin reflects that internal balance. Ginger also has anti-inflammatory properties that directly affect skin clarity and tone. Chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that doesn't hurt but is constantly present, is one of the leading drivers behind redness, hyperpigmentation, persistent acne, and uneven skin tone. Ginger's active compounds inhibit the COX enzyme, the same mechanism used by common anti-inflammatory medications, but without the side effects that come with long-term drug use. People who add fresh ginger to their routine for 4 to 8 weeks report a visible reduction in dark spots and a noticeable improvement in skin brightness. This isn't anecdotal. There's a clear biochemical explanation. Less inflammation means less melanocyte activity, the cells that produce pigment, which means less chaotic pigment production and more even-toned skin. Now let's move to collagen, and this is where ginger gets genuinely impressive. Collagen is the most abundant structural protein in the human body, making up roughly 30% of all your body's protein. It's the scaffolding holding your skin, bones, tendons, ligaments, and cartilage together. Without functional collagen, your entire connective tissue system would start falling apart. Starting around age 25, natural collagen production begins declining by about 1% a year. Sounds small, but by 40, that accumulated deficit is visible in your skin, noticeable in your joints, and measurable in your bone density. For decades, researchers have been trying to answer one question: how do you slow that decline? Ginger intervenes in collagen synthesis in at least 2 distinct, documented ways. First, gingerols directly stimulate fibroblasts, the cells responsible for manufacturing collagen. A study published in Connective Tissue Research found that ginger extracts increased fibroblast proliferation and boosted secretion of type 1 procollagen, the immediate precursor to structural collagen. More active fibroblasts means more protein scaffolding available for your tissue. Second, ginger inhibits matrix metalloproteinases, enzymes whose job is to break down existing collagen. Under normal conditions, this is useful maintenance. But when chronic inflammation overactivates them, they start destroying collagen faster than your body can replace it. And that imbalance is exactly what produces deep wrinkles, sagging, and loss of tissue density. Ginger acts as a regulator of that system, dialing down the destructive activity without shutting it off completely. Here's another angle worth exploring. Vitamin C is essential for your body to synthesize collagen at all. Without it, the process simply can't complete. Ginger isn't a primary vitamin C source, but it enhances the bioavailability of nutrients it's combined with. Pair ginger with vitamin C-rich foods, kiwi, citrus, bell peppers, guava, and absorption improves. The practical takeaway: grate fresh ginger into your morning citrus juice. That combination, which sounds almost trivial, is actually a nutritional intervention with real molecular backing. If this is giving you real value, take a second to like this video. It's the clearest signal you can send the algorithm that this deserves to reach more people. And if someone close to you struggles with joint pain, send them this video before we go any further, because joints are where ginger has the single largest body of clinical evidence behind it. Joints are complex structures where two or more bones meet, and their function depends on a delicate balance of lubrication, cushioning, and low inflammation. When that balance breaks down, you get pain, morning stiffness, reduced range of motion, and in advanced cases, progressive structural damage. Osteoarthritis affects hundreds of millions of people worldwide and is the single most common cause of disability in older adults. For decades, conventional treatment focused almost entirely on symptom relief, without fully addressing the underlying inflammatory mechanisms. Ginger changes that equation. A clinical trial published in Arthritis and Rheumatism followed 247 patients with knee osteoarthritis over 6 weeks. Half received a standardized ginger extract, half received a placebo. The results were statistically significant. The ginger group reported a 63% reduction in standing pain and a 44% improvement in their ability to walk long distances compared to placebo. But the numbers alone don't explain the mechanism. Here's the biochemistry behind those results. Gingerols and shogales simultaneously inhibit two separate inflammatory pathways, the COX pathway and the lipoxygenase pathway. This matters because most over-the-counter anti-inflammatory drugs only block the first pathway. Ginger works on both at once, reducing inflammatory prostaglandins and leukotrienes, another group of molecules that amplify joint pain and cartilage breakdown. There's also an effect on nuclear factor kappa B, a protein that functions as a master switch for inflammation. When it activates, it turns on dozens of inflammatory genes. A specific compound in ginger, 6-gingerol, has been shown to suppress activation of that switch in cell studies and animal models. Human trials are ongoing, but the direction of the evidence is consistent. Something most people don't know: ginger also has a protective effect on joint cartilage. Cartilage cushions the ends of your bones inside joints, but it has no blood supply of its own, meaning its ability to regenerate is extremely limited. Anything that protects it from degradation has enormous therapeutic value. A study published in Osteoarthritis and Cartilage found that ginger compounds reduced nitric oxide synthesis in chondrocyte, the cells that make up cartilage. Excess nitric oxide inside joints causes direct, irreversible cartilage damage, so blocking that overproduction has a documented protective effect on joint structure. There's also evidence for rheumatoid arthritis, a different, autoimmune condition where the immune system mistakenly attacks joint tissue. Ginger extracts have been shown to reduce abnormal synovial cell proliferation and lower production of pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, two of the most destructive molecules involved in rheumatoid arthritis. So how much ginger do you actually need? Most clinical studies with positive results used 1-3 g of standardized extract per day, roughly equivalent to 2-4 g of fresh root, about 1 thick slice or 1 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger. You can add it to teas, juices, smoothies, marinades, soups, curries, dressings, or just chew small fresh pieces in the morning. Fresh ginger preserves more gingerols, while dried or cooked ginger has higher Shogel levels. Both forms absorb well. One important clarification: while the evidence on ginger is solid and growing, it is not a substitute for established medical treatment. If you have a diagnosed joint condition, take blood thinners, or are pregnant, talk to your doctor before taking therapeutic doses of ginger. Gingerols have mild anticoagulant activity that can amplify the effect of medications like warfarin or clopidogrel. That said, for most healthy people, incorporating ginger into a varied, balanced diet has an excellent safety profile and real potential benefit. Scientists have a term for this: inflammaging. The idea that accelerated aging across every tissue in your body is largely driven by a low-grade, chronic inflammatory state that persists year after year. Skin loses firmness, collagen fragments, joints deteriorate, and a lot of that happens because baseline inflammation is left unmanaged. Ginger, because it acts on multiple inflammatory pathways simultaneously, is one of the best-positioned natural agents to intervene in that process. It doesn't work in isolation. It works best as part of a lifestyle that includes regular movement, quality sleep, proper hydration, and a nutrient-dense diet. But within that ecosystem of habits, its contribution is real, measurable, and growing in the scientific literature. Let's pause here for a second. If this is shifting how you see something that's probably already sitting in your kitchen, subscribe to Infinite Lab right now. This is exactly where biochemistry turns into something concrete for your health. And if there's a topic you want us to dig into next, drop it in the comments. We read every single one. To close, there's a reflection worth sitting with. Hippocrates, the Greek physician credited as the father of Western medicine, once said something that hits harder today than ever: let food be thy medicine. Over 2,400 years later, 21st century molecular research keeps confirming that idea, compound by compound, cell by cell. Ginger isn't a cure. It's not a magic pill. It's a root with an extraordinarily rich biochemical profile that, consumed consistently and consciously, produces measurable effects on skin oxidative stress, collagen synthesis and preservation, and the joint inflammatory response. That's what the science says today, and that's what Infinite Lab is here to tell you. Thanks for coming on this journey with us. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, knowledge that isn't shared just sits there, dormant. Here at Infinite Lab, we wake it up together.